Welcome back to Going Long, the Beyond the Breakers interview series where we go deep with the athletes, coaches, crew, and community builders who make the open water swimming world what it is. I'm your host, Craig Lewin, founder of Beyond the Breakers. Going long, we're speaking to our Beyond the Breakers speakers. Today, I'm joined by someone who's become a very respected name in the open water support scene on the West Coast. She's also a marathon swimmer, an expert support kayaker, and has over 50 Catalina Channel crossings behind her as a kayaker. She's been an observer and is a current board member of the San Diego Open Water Swimming Association. She'll also be on the Beyond the Breaker stage this November alongside Dan Simonelli. So we have Summer Wesson. Welcome to Going Long. All right, Summer, welcome to Going Long. How is it going?
Oh, it's great. Thank you, Craig.
Great. Amazing.
Yeah,
All right, so let's jump in. I ask everyone the same question for those in the swim community, those watching who do not know you. Give us the 30-second elevator pitch on who you are and your connection to the open water world.
sure. So my name is Summer Wesson. I started out as an open water swimmer, but mostly people probably know me for my support in the community. I'm a swim support kayaker, and I've supported over 50 Catalina Channel swims, mostly as a kayaker, but I'm also an observer. I've support swam. I've been a crew chief. And in San Diego, I am one of the founding members and also serve on the board for the San Diego Open Water Swimming Association, a resource for our community here. And I support a lot of swims here, both our swims and that we offer that are official marathon swims, as well as training swims.
Very
That
cool.
is me.
And this started as you being a swimmer, correct? Or at
It
least
did.
trying to be a
Yes.
swimmer.
Yes. Yeah.
So what made you want to start, I guess, open water swimming?
Yeah, so I was a long distance trail runner, and I had a freak fall on a trail one day and injured my knee. And I went to an orthopedic doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, you know what? You're probably not going to be able to run anymore, but you can swim to Catalina for all I care." And a dream was born. So I ended up swimming the Around Coronado swim as my first marathon swim, and I've transitioned more to the warmer water swims rather than Catalina, but I love supporting those. So yeah, that's how I became a open water swimmer.
So then how did you go or what drove you to go from, I guess, open water, obviously transitioning to the warm ones? I know the swims that you do because I coach
Mhm.
you and they're really hot and disgusting and
Yes.
I don't even like to just sit in that water. But
Yeah.
how did you go from that into observing and then eventually kayaking, or I guess both simultaneously?
Well, I ended up, I did the Around Coronado swim as my first marathon swim and connected with Dan Simonelli, who's also part of the San Diego Open Water Swimming Association with me now. And I was looking for something valuable to do with my life. I had worked in the entertainment industry for 20 years and retired early during COVID, reevaluated my life during COVID, like a lot of people did, and moved to San Diego, and I started to do some land support for Around Coronados. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I told Dan, I don't know anything about kayaking, but I'm a really great asset if you want to show me how to do this. I'm available. I'm local. I'm really good at being on time. And so it started there and transitioned eventually to doing Catalinas. Sometimes I'll go up and do some of the Santa Barbara swims, or in San Francisco, I've supported some as well. So yeah, that transition occurred there.
And and I guess how did you, I mean, uh I've done Catalina myself. I've seen videos of it. It can get pretty gnarly out there. How do you don't just go and do it. I think people bring their
No,
kayakers and they regret it. How do you gain the skill set? Like what
yeah,
does that path look like to get comfortable enough to support someone's swim in conditions that can deteriorate quickly but still be swimmable?
that's a great question. And I did have a little bit of a process going through that. I started doing Around Coronados, which they can get they're a little gentler. We start in a bay and then we end up for the last 3 miles or so out in open ocean, but not really anything that you would compare to Catalina's. So I started doing some kayaking here locally in San Diego, supporting those swims, getting very comfortable with it. And my biggest fear, to your point of being crazy out there, is that I had heard stories about swimmers who had DNF'd the swim because their kayaker had capsized and couldn't get back on, and they were treading water and they got cold, and then it ended up not working out. And I'm like, I am never going to be that person. So I started out just supporting Catalina's from the boat itself, and then slowly transitioned to doing relays because the relays were a little safer and for my friends and the ones that I wasn't charging for, and just to get the experience. I think the hardest thing about the Catalina swims, there's two aspects to it. There's getting on and off the boat can be really tricky, but also just learning how to track with the boat so that you're not bringing a swimmer out and back through the swells, and with the boat repositioning. So I watched it a lot, and I finally got to the point. Somebody had gotten sick that was a kayaker, and they had a solo swimmer, and they're like, they really need somebody that can go out there. They've already been through like 3 people, and I was like, okay. And I went out there, and it all went well, and that's kind of how I made that transition.
So another unique, I guess, variable that is known when people do Catalina is you start at night and you swim through the night. And
Correct.
night swimming is a very specific skill, and I imagine night kayaking is similar. So how do you
Correct.
learn that? Just go out and do it, or is there more to it before you feel
Yeah.
comfortable taking on, supporting a swimmer?
I think it's important, if you're planning to support a swimmer in a swim like this, that you have open water night kayaking experience. And I have had several situations where I've had people that are like, hey, I'd love to hire you as a kayaker, but I'm also going to bring one of my friends. And so these are conversations that I end up having with the crew before they end up coming out and getting in the water. And really, and the other thing that I tell people to do is to get out there with all of everything, all the feeds, the lines, the everything, capsize yourself in the dark, in crazy conditions, and make sure that you can get back on that kayak, because the best of us capsize out there. But if you can recover it quickly, you're good to go.
Very cool. And then obviously we'll take a step back. You were swimmer first, well, runner first. As most runners do, they get hurt. And then they come to swimming, the
Correct.
better, the better sport. And then, they go further and see people doing stuff. So you went from swimmer to kayaker. Are there lessons or things you learned as a swimmer that carried over to kayaking that is now benefiting the people you kayak for when you're supporting them?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a definite difference in the kayakers that have the experience being in the water as well and going through those motions. I think I struggled a lot when I first started open water swimming. I did not come from a swim background, and I was terrified. So I have a lot of patience for people. And I think going through, oh man, they're jumping off a boat in a place. A lot of these people have never swam in California before. They don't know what the threats are in the water, and they're trusting me to take them across the channel and make decisions on their behalf. So yeah, I think it's super important that both kayakers have some experience in swimming, or at least can relate to that. And I also think it's important that swimmers get the experience of maybe not necessarily kayaking, but supporting and understanding what that consists of, so that when they're swimming, they know what their crew is going through.
And I think what's unique about you and people like you and Dan, obviously you've got swim background, you've been kayaking and supporting, you've observed, so you kind of know what's going on. From that perspective, I think the unique piece is you don't necessarily know the athlete that well in some
Yes.
cases because you're basically you're hired for your experience and not being able to, if it happens, capsize, get back up and keep the swim going, whereas others can't. So when the swimmer's going through it, you're their lifeline, you're the motivation to keep them going, because you're the closest to them. They have people on the boat, but again, you're like their person. So with different athletes, like how do you connect with them? How do you keep them going when you don't really know them, but you know this means the world to them? How do you connect with them on that level? And what are some of the tips or tricks that you and Dan utilize to help make people successful?
Well, I definitely I try to I have the conversations in advance with the swimmers to try to get a feel for them. And some people are very serious about their swims. Some people are just super happy and excited. And just to kind of get that vibe so that I can match their vibe in the water. And I also do a little bit of like social media stalking, like maybe if they don't have a presence that says something about them, if they do have a strong presence that says something about them, and I can just get a feel for the swimmer and what would help them in that moment. And also, I really encourage the swimmers to be honest with me before they get into the water, so that I can help them. If you're super scared of sea lions, that's completely fine. Like then I won't show you the sea lion, and freak you out in the middle of your swim. So that those little pieces of like that little connection with the swimmer in advance before they just jump in the water with this stranger is extremely important.
Very good. Very cool. Do you have any like crazy, what's your craziest story from a kayak without exposing anyone in particular or
I,
names? Like what's a fun story that
Oh
maybe you
gosh,
learned from
I
it
feel
made you
very on the
better?
spot. Well, I'm trying to think of something that won't throw anybody under the bus, but I do think I will say like I had a really wonderful experience early, not too early in my Catalinas, but supporting a group of high school kids, and and being able to have that experience of teaching them about open ocean. They'd done some long night swims, but it was in lakes and stuff, and just really having the experience of the great thing about relays is you get an experience with all of these different swimmers. There was one particular girl. She was very sweet, but she was very nervous. Of course, you're 14 years old. You're jumping into the water, next to a stranger. And I ended up, she liked me because they were the Pirates of the Catalina. And I had
Mm.
this like pirate hat on. And I was about to do the transition with the kayaker. And she got really nervous because she wanted like, to my point about connecting with the swimmers, she wanted the pirate. She wanted the crazy pirate lady next to her. And so we ended up, had a wonderful swim. She jumped in and she was really nervous at night. And then during the daytime, she was just a well oiled machine. And, it's very inspiring to watch these kids do something like that. But it was also a great experience just being able to see different paces, different personalities. The ones, when you're a teenager, there's a lot of different variables. Sometimes they're real confident or they're really terrified, and helping them work through whichever direction that is. That was a special experience.
Very cool. Yeah, I can imagine relays are a very different vibe than a solo.
They are, and they're great to learn on because you
Mm.
get to have a lot of them are maybe less experienced long distance swimmers. Some of them are experienced, but usually you get a few people that aren't as experienced that you get to have that interaction with, and you get to learn how to kayak for six different people. So it's definitely a great way to start if somebody is wanting to break into doing more kayaking like this. Get on a relay.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
So, talked a lot about kayaking, a little bit about swimming. So how does San Diego Open Water Swimming Association come about?
So Dan revived the Around Coronado swim back in 2020 when everybody's swims were getting canceled, and we had a bunch of displaced swimmers. Or even if they weren't canceled, people were not comfortable doing all the travel or being on a boat in this close quarters. And so people were looking for a place to go. And the Around Coronado swim was an actual event years ago. And Dan ended up reviving it as a solo. And so we had a lot of people that came out in 2020. I did my Coronado, I swam it in 2021. And it gained popularity. And suddenly we had more people coming in saying, "Hey, I did Around Coronado. What else do I do? Do I do another Around Coronado? Are there other swims?" And a very accomplished marathon swimmer named Abby Fairman was the first one to do what we call the San Diego Triple Crown now, because she was the one that said, "Well, I did Coronado," and then she did a double Coronado, and she's like, "Well, what else can I do?" So Dan created the Point Loma to Ocean Beach swim. We call it PLOB, and then Boomerang for her, which is La Jolla Shores to Crystal Pier and back. All of them are in the 10 to 12 mile range. They're great for people that are training for English Channel, for Catalina. If people want to come in and do a qualifier for something, we just keep them in the water a little longer. And so as the we gained popularity, we realized we had this wonderful resource in Dan, because when you think about somebody in the community that is knowledgeable, a coach, a kayaker, has supported over 300 Catalinas at this point, we were underusing his expertise. So a small group of us got together and we created the San Diego Open Water Swimming Association to be a resource for really everyone, and to give a little bit of guidance and a place to come when you need a kayaker, or you need a coach, or if you just want somebody to go out in the water with you. So now I feel like our community has a place that they can go, like when they're starting out or they have questions, or even if they've been swimming for a long time and want support to do something long, that we're able to give them that.
Yeah, that's really cool to start an
Yeah.
organization that, has some
Yes.
swims, and I think they're beautiful swims. I did my own recently, which we'll talk about in a bit. It was a record-breaking swim
It
for
was. It
it
was.
was
You
a
certainly
first.
broke some records.
No, but yeah, I mean, I think seeing the formation and seeing the quick adoption, I think, or acceptance from the local community, the marathon swim community, is it's a really cool thing, and it shows that it was an organization that needed to exist. And it's really exciting that you were all
100%.
able to make that happen and fill that gap.
Yeah.
So, and obviously Dan is a huge resource in swimming, marathon
100%.
swimming in general. So to be able to be, learn from him, be mentored by him, from a kayak perspective, and have him as a resource for other swimmers has to be a real, I guess, I don't know what the right word is. It's joy is not it. Dan's funny like that, but no, I mean, I think it's an incredible opportunity to learn that and then eventually pass it on to other swimmers who come and um, do those San Diego those open water swims in the San Diego area. So very very
Yes.
exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So transitioning to Beyond the Breakers. You and Dan gave a virtual presentation in our first year. Some stuff went down, so couldn't get you here, but you're coming in
Yes.
2026 in person, which I'm excited about. I think many people are excited about to have you on the East Coast. So why don't you give us a little blurb teaser about your presentation with Dan?
Yeah. I think I'm hoping that what we have to offer is very helpful for people that are both more seasoned in this and also that are starting out. A lot of people are intimidated by the idea of kayaking something like a channel. And, I think for the most part, we just want to share our stories, because the only way that you get that expertise is to be out there and doing it. And so I'm hoping that the stories that we have to share will help people. And I'm hoping some swimmers will enjoy it too and be able to really understand what a kayaker goes through out there when they're out in the middle of the night with somebody that they either don't know or is a friend of theirs that they want to do well for, and, set people up for success in that area.
That'd be really helpful. I know there's a lot of people who want to get involved but aren't
Yeah.
necessarily swimmers. So I think that would be a really impactful session. I guess, is there a common mistake you see with new kayakers or even swimmers who are new to having kayak support that you hope to address?
Yeah. I mean, I can give you two sides of that. I will say I see a couple ends of the spectrum with kayakers that are starting out. I see the people that are extremely nervous and don't want to they don't want to mess up somebody's swim, and they're really scared about having the skills or being able to keep up. And then you get the other side of it that's like, well, I have plenty of kayaking experience, I'll be fine, and not really understanding the difference in just going out and doing a kayak and supporting a swimmer. So what I'll say to that from both ends of things is that it's really about being out there and just having focus and giving your full attention to this person. You're not, you can't be off in your own world or listening to music. And, it's very, of course, there's a little level of zoning out, but just to be in a position where, it's dark and you don't always know what's going on, that you're listening. And, listening will tell you a lot. If suddenly you're hearing a stroke rate and suddenly something changes, you look over and you see what's going on. It could be, that they just stopped for a second, or there could be some kind of breakdown going on. They could be in pain. It gives you a lot of cues to be able to help them. But to anybody starting out, regardless of your experience level, just being able to be focused on the swimmer is extremely important, and knowing your swimmer before you get in. In terms of the other side of it with swimmers, the what I would say to swimmers is to not have your kayaker be an afterthought in terms of who you hire. And it is extremely important that whoever you get into the water with, you have full trust with, because this person, and like I said before, tell them if you have fears, if certain things scare you. We've seen it all, and not to be afraid to look up at the kayaker and be like, you know what, I'm having XYZ issue, because chances are I've already looked at your plan and I'm troubleshooting what might happen. Yeah, I probably have something on the kayak that will help you, or I have probably seen something before. It is not I'm not sitting on the kayak thinking, gosh, like I hope this person does something wrong so I can go home. Like that's not the reason that I hope any of us are doing this. Nobody's doing this for the money. They want to see, we want that moment where that swimmer goes onto the shore and clears the water line and you hear the honk of the horn. I mean, I get excited every single time I see it. So help me help you, and trust me. Like I will do everything I can before there's a point that we get to that we're like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't go on.
It's good advice. Is there, when people, like you said, don't make kayaking an afterthought, I think for Catalina, 100%, because it's a requirement. Are there specific things swimmers should look for when hiring a kayaker? Like red flags, green flags, just a couple
Yeah,
ideas to help them.
I would say communication, if that person's willing to have communication back and forth. And I mean, you kind of see it from the get-go when you reach out to kayakers, who's the first one to respond, and who's kind of dragging their feet. I mean, granted, a lot of us are in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the night, so maybe give us a day or two. But the people that are very responsive to you, the people that are willing to answer all your little questions, and I mean, honestly, the ones of us that do this, that really like this, we like answering all those questions. We like being your resource to tell you this stuff. I would say the people that take the time with you, you can really tell whether somebody is invested in your swim or not, or if they're just trying to make a couple bucks.
Yeah, connection can be, it can, you know when someone's not genuine, like genuinely
Correct.
interested. You
Yeah.
feel it. The fit's not there, the connection's not there, and
Yeah.
there's no rapport, then it's probably a terrible fit.
Correct. Yes.
All right, cool. Well, two more questions.
Yeah.
The more serious of them. So is it your first time coming to be on the Breakers in person? Is there a presentation, a topic, a person that you're most excited to meet or sit in on?
I mean, this is probably the standard answer, but I'm super excited to meet Rowdy Gaines. Growing up, he was synonymous with swimming, and he's gone on to be an advocate for swimming his entire life. So, with us developing the San Diego Open Water Swimming Association, I think it's going to be incredibly valuable for us to be there and to gain his expertise from years of him being involved in the community in the way that he is. So, and I'm just as a fangirl, I'm excited to meet Rowdy Gaines. I think it's going to be a great presentation.
That is the most popular answer,
Yes, I'm sure.
which is why I was so happy that he agreed to come and join
Oh
us
my
and
gosh.
give us his insights for the morning.
Yes.
Um, Very cool. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And then, recently you were part of a very historic swim,
Oh,
kayaking around Coronado, where we
yes.
crowned the Taco Bell torpedo.
We
So
did.
I wanted to get your honest opinion on what it was like to kayak for my Taco Bell swim around Coronado Island.
It was pretty fun. And honestly, I'm not just saying it because it's you, but I was pretty impressed that you slept all the way to the start. I don't know how you did that. I don't know how anyone, like, I realize that you've done like English Channel and the Triple Crown and all of that, but the fact that you can, it says a lot. I certainly couldn't do that. But I think people forget when they're doing this stuff to just have fun with it, and it's just you got out there, you found like a little gimmick that got you through and that made it fun. And I honestly, I really enjoyed being part of the experience. It was stress free, it was fun, we enjoyed taking videos, and I love that from any experience of swimmers. Of course there's always a little bit of nerves, but the beginners, the people that have been doing this a while, it's just like, not to quote Dan, but it's important to find the fun when you're out there. And I mean, I feel like we had a pretty good time.
I had a blast. You've kayaked for me. I've swum around Coronado. I feel like I've gotten a lot of the San Diego Open Water Swimming Association experiences, and I had very high expectations, and you met them all. I had a blast out there. It was beautiful. We had a little bit of a hiccup on night one, but
That's
we
all
got it
right. It
done.
worked out.
It
Well,
worked out
I'm
great.
very excited for your Olive Garden plob. Can we
Maybe,
announce
yeah.
that?
I think I'll have better success. Olive Garden is at least responsive to my stories,
That's
so
good.
I think I can get a gift card for some breadsticks, and
I love it.
the breadstick bullet will emerge.
Well,
So,
your kayaker wants one too.
well, don't worry. I take care of my crew. That's a good tip
Sounds
for all
good.
of you. Take
You
care
do.
of your crew. Amazing. Well, thank you,
Yes,
Summer, so much. We're
of
really stoked to have
course.
you in November on the East Coast, sharing your knowledge with Dan on kayaking. And then,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great time. It will be cold, though. It will not be as warm as California, unfortunately.
No, I probably won't be getting in the water, but I will support you in your open water journey
Amazing.
with a coffee on the shore, bundled up.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it was great to have you. Thank you so much for your time. And with that, yeah, check out the San Diego Open Water Swimming Association. What SD?
sdowsa.org, SDOWSA.org.
There you go. Go check it out. Sign up for some of their solos. There are great training swims. If you have a really, really big one on the books and they're beautiful, they make great videos. And if you
And
want
there's
to
some
do it,
great discounts if
great
you
discounts.
go to Beyond the
Yep.
Breakers.
Yep, they are
Yep.
offering some wonderful perks. So head over to our perks page. If you get a ticket, you will save a lot of money and get some really cool experiences and some great pictures. I think it was some of the best pictures I had from any swim.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
good.
very good stuff. All right, thank you, Summer, so much for being here. Go follow her on Instagram at Racer Wesson. You can check out San Diego Open Water Swimming Association at sdowsa.org. And if you want to see Summer and Dan live on stage together, you know where to find them. Bentley University, November 14th this year. Tickets at swimbeyondthebreakers.com. And the full Going Long series is right there as well. So we will see you in November. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and have a great day. So thanks, Summer. Appreciate it. And
Yeah.
excited to see you in November.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Cool.
See you then.